Si tu veux, ouais, masquer le truc, là, parce qu'il est comme par-dessus ton PowerPoint. Là.
Ah, masquer. Pardon. Ouais. Dites-moi quand c'est live.
C'est live.
Okay. So hi everyone, welcome to our Catapulte panel. So a special edition to introduce you to the Quebec City gaming ecosystem, especially the indie gaming ecosystem. And we're here to introduce you a bit later to three of our former Catapulte winners. So first of all, we'll introduce you to what's going on here in Quebec City in the gaming cluster, and then we'll be hearing some of our entrepreneurs share their story. So first, I want to introduce you to my colleague Nicolas Labrec-Sauvé, who works for Québec International. So Nicolas, go ahead.
As my colleague mentioned, I'm Nicolas Labrec-Sauvé. I'm a senior advisor in foreign investment at Québec International. Québec International is the local development agency of the Quebec City. Our mission is to support Quebec City region economic development, as well as our national and international standing. Our team of roughly 100 employees work every day with many partners and stakeholders from around the world to support entrepreneur, professional, and investor. Next slide. Our mandate are divided in 6 pillars. The first one is to promote the region business environment. We also foster high-tech entrepreneurship, mainly through our incubator accelerator called the Camp, who offers many services as well as mentorship and coaching to startups. We also support innovation, marketing, and export. We have a team at Quebec International that help locally companies export their product out of the province of Quebec. We also have a team that attract foreign investment in international entrepreneur, the team I'm working for. As I mentioned, we try to attract investment, but we also try to help those international subsidiaries in Quebec grow in the region. We also have a team that do attract foreign talent and retain international students. So our team help local companies with all their recruitment needs with international mission and to recruit, as I mentioned, to help with recruitment. And last but not least, we do foster development of key cluster. We have the life science and health technology cluster, green and smart building, and the last one being animation gaming cluster, which my colleague will explain a bit more later on. So Quebec International, basically, you need to see our organization, which most of our services are free as the first door to knock on once you want to build your business in the Quebec region. We do have partners. We are partnered with research center, university, colleges, public authorities, entrepreneur network. We have a vast network that can help you with all your needs in Quebec. Now, maybe just a quick overview of Quebec City. Quebec City is a population of 800,000 people, roughly. There's about a 38 billion GDP in 2020, and the region has seen a significant growth over the years, as you can see on the sheet here. That between 2010 and 2019, there was a 16% growth. Quebec City. Oh, if we go back. Quebec City is about a 3-hour drive from Montreal, and there's an international airports that carry flights and a bunch of destinations. There was just last month, it was announced that there would be a direct flight from Quebec to London starting in the spring of 2022. Now we can. In terms of international subsidiaries in Quebec City, there's about roughly 280 foreigner subsidiaries, which 60% are from the Americas, mainly from the US, but there's a third are from Europe. And from 2014 to 2019, there were 105 projects mentored for roughly 1.5 billion in foreign investment. Thank you.
So thanks, Nicolas. So we can talk about Quebec City and its thriving economic ecosystem without mentioning the gaming ecosystem that we have here in Quebec City, especially the indie gaming. That's a very, very strong ecosystem. So I'm Josiane Côté-Paquette. I'm the director of Québec EPIX, the cluster in the animation, gaming, and immersive experiences that we have here in the region. So just a quick overview, the video game animation and immersive experience here in Quebec City accounts for 3,600 jobs. Around 90 companies are part of the cluster, and this allows a total revenue of around $170 million per year, and these are pre-pandemic figures. So we can only imagine that it's gone up a bit since the pandemic and the really the tendency of consuming more video games. So what is Québec EPIX? Québec EPIX is I was saying it's a cluster for techno-creative businesses in the region. So what we do is to dynamize the industry, make sure the actors are connected together, make sure the region is seen at an international scale and is known for its local IPs, but also its very thriving gaming ecosystem. So we're really here to help the development of the industry. Really quick overview of the gaming businesses that we have here in Quebec City. So, of course, we have main large-scale studios like Ubisoft, Beenox, part of Activision, Larian, Frima. But we also have a very strong indie ecosystem with promising studios. Some of them are here today. We'll be sharing their experience as indie gaming entrepreneurs. And we also have main economic development partners such as Camp, Université Laval, la Ville de Québec, the City of Quebec, and the Government of Quebec. So we have one thing that's been going on for 7 years now in Quebec City is the Catapulte acceleration program. So we decided to set it up in 7 years ago now. The idea of this contest and acceleration program is to help young video game entrepreneurs set up their studio and have access to all the resources they need to really be able to grow their project here in Quebec City and commercialize it with all the support of service consultant they need, for example, in IP consultant, as well as the tax credit manager. How do we handle the tax credit? So what the studio wins every year is a prize that's up to $135,000 in services and grants. And this is really to help support our young entrepreneurs in the gaming industry. So today we decided to invite some of them who were former winners of the Catapulte contest, really to tell you how this helped them set up their project, but also just to tell you a bit more about how in Quebec City you can evolve as a gaming entrepreneur and how their story started a couple of years ago, and now what's their plan for the future. So I think it's a side of the conversation we rarely have access to, and knowing how you really set up a studio, but also what are the challenges of growing as a gaming entrepreneur. So really happy to have them with us today. We have first our oldest winner of Catapulte, Benoit Archer, co-founder and VP of Bishop Game Studio, who won Catapulte in 2016. We also have Daniel Carmichael. He's lead gameplay programmer at Fika, who they were our special pandemic edition, I can say. So they won in 2020 the Catapulte contest. And finally, we have our latest winner from RageCure game. Dave Gagne will be here. He's the co-founder and sound designer, at RageCure Games. So he'll be here to tell you a bit more about their projects. So rapidly, some games that are familiar to us. So when we think about Bishop Games, we can think about Lightfall, who came out in 2018. As for Fika production, they're actually working on the Ship of Fools. So Daniel will be able to tell us a bit more about what's coming for that project. And RageCure Games that announced haven't announced yet, but are working on their game Goons Legends of the Hockeyverse. So they are actually being accelerated at the Camp here in Quebec City. So really a pleasure to have you with us today. And I will stop sharing my screen right now. Okay, so first, we sorry. Okay. So first question we have for you guys today here. I think I'll start with Dave, but then I'll invite the others to join the conversation. So we really want to know and let people know how does it start? Like, how does it work setting up an indie studio here in Quebec City? What are your thought process? What was the key element that sparked the decision of really jumping in the adventure of setting up an indie studio? So Dave, maybe you can go ahead and tell me a bit more about that.
Thank you. I think like what happens first for a bunch of devs is, you've been playing games for your whole life, you love games, and you always have this little dream of having your own thing, doing your own games. Sometimes you have ideas, you're like, I want to do this thing. And then it kind of get tossed aside. You work, you get to school, whatever. And for us, it was really like trying to form that small team, doing game jams, so like the Pixel Challenge, where we had the opportunity to create smaller games, but like get the feel for a team. And like for a few years you kind of try to build that thing, weekends, evenings, and then you're like, okay, maybe we should actually do it seriously because we're getting good. We have this project, we have the team, which is probably one of the more important thing, like to have the right resources, I must say. For us, it happened that way over the course of 6 years, I would say. Really building the team, block by block, brick by brick, to take Yellow Brick's phrase. But it took time, and then at one point we're like, okay, now we're jumping. I must say the pandemic really helped, because it was just like we're all at home, we're working, we have jobs in the industry or just around the industry, technologies, print media, that sort of stuff. And then we said, okay, now's the time. We're all stuck at home. Uh, we have some sort of budget. There was Catapult at the same time. Don't want to jump into that right away, but it's coming. And it was just the right moment for us to jump. So I think we have a really different experience from Ben and Daniel. And yeah, because the pandemic kind of not forced us, but forced us to realize, oh, now is the right time, because there's not going to be a better time to jump and do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
What's
great.
funny is
And
that,
I think
go ahead.
go ahead, Ben.
Okay. I mean, what's funny is that, as Dave was explaining, is the creation of the studio. It's like so well planned over 6 years. They assembled the team while they were working, and Bishop was like the opposite. We just we just jumped right into it without really a big plan at the beginning. We just my childhood friend Matt, which is also a co-founder, reached out to me. I was actually working in marketing in another company, not even working video games, and he reached out and said, "I'm starting a studio with a programmer. Do you want to join? And we need a guy to handle the marketing." And I just said, "Okay, sure." And like that's how we kind of started without a big plan, and we kind of YOLO'd it in some way.
YOLO'd it.
But I mean, we've been going 8 years strong now, so that's it. Kind of worked out for us, but
That's a
it's
good
just
YOLO.
such a good contrast between Dave and our story. So it means that there's definitely different ways you can start your own company.
And Daniel, like I think it was the right moment for Dave to set up the studio during the pandemic. But for you, I think it was the opposite. Like you started the studio just right before the pandemic happened.
Yeah, we actually started the studio in 2018. We were a group of friends who were daydreaming about working together someday. And we knew that we wanted to do video games at some point, but the main focus for us at the beginning was to build a strong team and a strong business foundation to make sure that we can stay together and be strong together. We were studying together in software engineering at Université Laval here in Quebec City, and we knew we were good working together. So we started doing some work for hire contracts in the web development, also in mobile. So really far from what we're doing today, but we knew that was the path to have a strong business foundation. And we also grabbed our friend, two of our friends in animation to start a business with us, so we can have a strong video game team to start a company. So yeah, we started with that. We really invested in the team, and one of our core values since the beginning was inclusion and caring for others. So we knew we wanted to build a nice work environment, a nice place for everyone to work and be happy together before even thinking about video games. And so that's a bit of the beginning of
That's
our
great.
story.
That's
I,
very
I
interesting. I see.
I
Go
feel
ahead,
like
Dave.
teams are like something that came out of all of our three uh, excerpt here about our history is how the team was central to our history,
Yeah,
how we
People
came up
wanted
to
to work
be.
with friends and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Friends, and they kind of they said, okay, I'm good at this thing. I know this person that's good at this thing. We only need that and this, and let's just group up and create something. I think it speaks like still I don't want to get like too far ahead, but I think it speaks about the ecosystem in Quebec a lot because it's all about getting stronger by working with people that are good in other areas that we're not good at,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's really central to our own strength as a video game studio in Quebec City.
Mm. And yeah, talking about the ecosystem in Quebec City, so I bet there are like it's fun tonight to work with your friends from school, and but there are also challenges related to that, like setting up a studio as an entrepreneur here in Quebec City. And I'm pretty sure you can tell us a bit more about the ecosystem. I'll let my colleague Nicolas introduce maybe the next question regarding.
Absolutely. Being working at Quebec International, and our goal and my team is to attract investment, so attract companies to come back, to come invest in Quebec. So my first question is, what are the strengths of the ecosystem in Quebec City? If you can elaborate on that. I don't
I
know
can
who
go.
wants to start. Yeah, you go,
uh,
Ben.
I mean, for me personally, I really enjoy the ecosystem. I think that we're because of the sheer size of it, we're not too big where it's like everybody's anonymous, but we're big enough where we can achieve great things. And it's like a big family. We build organic activities throughout the years between the studios. Where we just meet up and exchange information, give feedback on each other's games, and just chat up and talk about what's going on in the industry. I think that's a obviously I haven't traveled the world to compare ecosystems, but I think that's fairly unique there in Quebec. And just and we also have a lot of incentives and actually helpful programs in Quebec specifically. We have the Can, obviously. We have Catapulte. We have Quebec City itself has a lot of programs to help hiring and like entrepreneurship. So I feel like it's the perfect mix in some way with like the size of the market, just the different programs. I feel like it's a quite not easy, but like it's a good place to start a business, especially in tech.
Any thoughts on that, Dave? Maybe I'm sure since you're actually being accelerated with your project at Le Camp, you can tell us a bit more about how this ecosystem helps you. How I can say it helps you face the challenges of being an entrepreneur here in the gaming ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's a little crazy when you start a studio. You just first of all you want to create a studio to create games, and you realize there's all this thing on the side that you need to do as well, which is gets a little crazy. And that's where like there's so many there's so many helpful things that can actually help you, but you don't know them. First of all, you're not looking for them because you're creating a game, not a you're not really thinking it of, oh, I'm doing a business. You know, you want to create a product usually, but it comes with all of those things that you need to do. And programs such as not programs, but accelerators such as lequin is there to, oh, there's this resources, this is available. You could work with this. You could speak to that person that it's really like an expert on that subject that you have problems with, and then you realize, oh, okay, so I got this whole set of problems I didn't know I'd have creating a studio, but there's a whole wealth of resources that are actually there just for me, just for this ecosystem of studio to help us go through those challenges. So it feels like it's the perfect spot to actually create something, because there's this set of, here's the keys, we can help you, we're there for that. And it really felt like, okay, suddenly a weight off my shoulder just disappeared, because we have people to help us do that, which is, I just cannot imagine creating a studio not having those resources. It must be crazy, to be honest.
And we were talking a bit before the panel started, but also there are some organic collaboration that exists here in the ecosystem. We were mentioning the flambeau. Maybe Daniel, you want to say something about how you collaborate with other studios?
Yes, the collaboration between studios is really amazing here in Quebec. And one thing I need to say that's really great about our ecosystem, it's that we not only are a lot of young indie studios, but we have some giants of the industry also right here, right around the corner, such as Ubisoft Quebec, who tries to help young studios like us by making a contest every year. That's called the Ubisoft Indie Series. That we won a prize this year at their contest that really helped us not only with the financial part but also with the credibility part of our project. When Ubisoft says that our game is worth a shot, it tells some things,
Mhm.
So that's great about that. And also the fact that we have so many other indie studios made us create a lot of connections, uh, such as one with our mentor that really helped us throughout our search for a publisher in the last year and a half. So at first, like, finding a publisher for us was a really really big step for our company and for our game. I think it was maybe one of the biggest steps of my life. uh, Having someone that big trusting us is really something, but we don't know how that works at the beginning. As Dave said, making a business, it's like we don't know how to do it, but we have to do it. So finding a publisher was kind of the same thing for us. So having a mentor in the community was really helpful.
Hmm, that's interesting. And do you like? I'm curious about like knowing if what's the main challenge for you, for all of you three. Like maybe it's been different for every studio, but the main challenge of setting up a business in gaming for the during the first year. What do you have to face? What's the hardest thing to face?
I think most of it is Daniel kind of talked about it. One of it is credibility. You have to prove that your project, you know, is worth, investing and is worth a shot, and it's tied with funding. Like once you're credible, usually the funding comes. So those two things are usually tied together. And in the case of Catapult, for us, for Bishop, it was the first external validation actually that we had. We won Catapulte. It was a great year. That I remember a lot of good games were showcased, and when we won was the first step. And then we could apply to the CMF, and we could say, hey, we won this, this whole contest against good games. And like the panelists, the judges from the industry said they approved our game. And obviously there was some funding with Catapulte too, and like the coaching aspect really helped us in our CMF request, because we were with Lecan for a year with all the business coaches. The CMF felt we were all well surrounded to, and that's why they gave us funding for the whole production. And so Catapulte itself basically launched us and allowed us to get the funding. And it was the first step we had to make our game credible and the studio credible too.
I think
And to
I
bounce,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
To bounce on what Ben said, the biggest challenge, I think, it's you need funding and you need credibility. But to have credibility, you need funding.
Yeah.
But to have funding, you need credibility. So it's like a never-ending circle at the beginning. And once you just get into this wheel of fortune, you can you can drive up your studio to a great heights. But that's the biggest challenge, I think.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the same for the three of us and maybe everyone, but Catapult really helped in both aspects because there's a funding aspect to the prize, but also credibility. Like I didn't realize how much that would help us. Like we're speaking to people, maybe even offshore, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you've won Catapult," and we're like, "Oh great, you know about this program?" Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's not something we take lightly, and they know the value and they know that there's an actual stamping of okay, great, this project has potential, and now it's receiving a bunch of help from super important actors of the industry, and we know this project has a really strong chance of success because of all the support it receives. So there's both funding and credibility being given away with that Catapult prize, and it's still a challenge, especially if you never shipped a game before, because everybody's like, okay, can you make a game, can you ship a game, can you there's always that. Once you have one done and it's a success, however big it is, it's kind of okay, cool, they can do that. And then like Daniel mentioned, kind of you get into that, okay, you're in that club that can ship a game
Yeah,
and make it work. That's super important, but to
that's
get
so true.
there, it's
Yeah.
so hard to get there because nobody wants to be the first to put money on you and kind of take a bet. Will that work? It's super hard.
Oh,
That's such a great point, Dave. Like just shipping a game as an indie studio is an achievement in itself. And
Yeah.
once you
Yeah.
do that, and you go to events or talk to publishers for the the second or third game, whatever. Once you ship one, it's the dialogue is different. Like
Yeah.
whether you talk about with a console like a Nintendo or like Sony, PlayStation, or like with a publisher, if you have something under your belt. I've seen it first, and the conversations, switches. Like the tone is different. So just pushing through that first one is definitely a big step for the company's success in the future.
I
that's
heard
great.
once that every game that comes out is it's a little miracle, and I can agree with that. Like that's our first game as a studio, but I should game at Ubisoft, and it's like every game that comes out on the market, however good or bad it is, it's kind of
It's a
a
labor of
feat by
love.
itself. Yeah, it's a labor of love, of sweat, tears, and
Pain.
pain. Yeah, most likely pain. If there's no pain involved, is it really hard anyway? So, but yeah, I feel like that's a big achievement.
That's great. So with Catapulte, that's what we're trying to do. Yes, we're giving you hitting a prize, but it's not only about the prize or the money. It's also about the winner of Catapulte becomes automatically the finalist at the indie series. So we're really trying to build a loop of recognition for these studios, and I think this has been proved to work. If I look at what you're where you're at today, and we only have a few more minutes, so we could talk about that a lot more. But I really want to know. Well, first, what's next for you guys? Like you're working on projects, you've had projects in the past. So what's coming up in the next couple months for each of your studios? Maybe Daniel, you want to start?
Yes, so here at Fika Productions, we're working on our first game since the past 2 years. So our game is called Ship of Fools. It's a seafaring co-op roguelike, A really interesting game. We have found a publisher that I'm not going to name today, but it will be soon announced, and we hope that you guys will tune in to our release trailer that will come out sometime in the near future. So that's
Oh,
what's going on. We have a brand new office, so that's really cool. Um, and yeah,
an
great things.
office that's here in the techno creative
Yes,
area of Quebec City in Saint Roch, where every studios are pretty
in
much.
Saint Roch, as you can see,
Oh
the,
wow,
the best of Quebec right
But
there.
great spot.
Yeah,
great.
so we're really glad to be here near everyone. It's a great place to work, and so yeah,
Good.
that's what's going on for us.
That's a lot of work at the moment. So great to see that you're near the camp and not too far from from us today. So, and what about the maybe Bishop? So you've had a game in the past, and
Yes.
what's
Yeah,
I think
we released Lightfall, which was the game that won Catapulte in 2018, both on PC and Switch. I believe we were actually like the first indie game in Quebec on Switch. It was quite a nightmare because there wasn't a lot of documentation at the time to make the port, but it was cool to make one on the Switch. And so for the year after that, we had some maintenance on Lightfall, some patches. Some things like that. And we kind of switched our business model a little bit after that, just because we to stabilize the you know to stabilize our growth, we decided to split our time between 50-50 work for hire contracts and developing IPs. So we've been working on our second game since then, which is I can't talk about it. It's not announced yet, but it's closing in, which was approved by the CMF once again. And we've been doing a lot of contracts for clients like Lu, which is also a Quebec company that does it's like educative games for in schools, which is pretty big company. They ship worldwide, so we've been doing apps for them and stuff like that. And yeah, so we've been splitting our time doing 50-50, and it's been much more. It really helped, especially across the pandemic. Obviously, we were able to sail through and survive that, and and we've also been able to grow. We are 8 people now, so kind of the ideal format we want to have. And so yeah, we're just gonna keep working on our games and doing some contracts. We're at a stage that people refer us. We don't have to look for contracts. Like people, like a client will about us to another client, and we actually deny contracts because we want to work on our games too. So we're kind of in a good spot right now.
that's
Really
a
happy about it.
good problem.
Yeah.
So that could be for another conversation. But like the afterlife of after your first game, your
Yeah, the
studio still
maintenance, the
has
survival. Yeah.
so yeah to keep that in mind for the next conversation. But and now Dave, well, you're our youngest studio, I could say. So tell us what's going on for you.
Yeah, sure. So I would say Catapult kind of went at the same time that we jumped in full time, and it's been all about working on the game since then. I think the first thing we did was start the game from scratch. It's gonna sound crazy, but we decided, okay, we need really strong multiplayer bases, which we didn't have. So we just scrapped everything and redid the game from scratch with all of the experience that we got in the last few years. And it was scary, but it paid off because now we have something really strong that we can build upon. So we have really strong foundations, and so we're working on a game. Should ship in about a year. Of course, that's what's planned right now, but it can always change depending on scope. If we decide to remove stuff, add stuff, so you know that it can always change, that sort of stuff. But we're really focusing on that production, securing partners, the right partners, building the team a little bit, not too much, because uh, we feel like having the right members is more important than build that super big team. Uh, so yeah, that's going to be really interesting in the next year for ratio games.
Nice. So well, I don't think we have any question from the chat, but it was really interesting to have that conversation that we rarely have time to talk about how you set up your studio and what's going on in your entrepreneurial life in gaming. So really a pleasure to have you three with us today. If you have people listening any questions about Catapulte, don't hesitate to let me know. Same for Québec International with Nicolas. Don't hesitate to reach out. Just go see what's going on with Bishop, Fika, and RageCure. Some really good projects at the moment that are going to be soon available. So really a pleasure to have you today. Thanks, guys. I think that's it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks to you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.